I'm going to make a video here on how to pitch a jig. A lot of people don't know how to do it or have trouble doing it. It's not that bad. It's not that hard to learn. It just takes some time. You got to accustom your arms and hands and thumb to just get used to the motion and stuff. And over time, it'll become second nature. You don't even have to think about it. But at first, it's a little difficult for people. So, excuse me. Basically, pitching short range casting. I'm throwing this bait about 20 feet in the house here today. You can pitch a little further than that when you're on the water, but just you don't have for right now. We're just doing short little pitches just to show you how to do it. So basically, when you want to make a pitch, you drop the rod tip, release the lure, and let the lure swing down like on a pendulum, and then you raise the rod. That's what sends the lure out there toward its target. And when you raise the rod, you want to release your right thumb here off the spool to allow the lure to travel to its target. So just to show you, that's a pitch right there. That's how you do it. And the easiest way to explain it is just to you don't have to take a lot of line out. Just almost even with the reel is good, a little bit shorter. So especially in the house here, it's just you don't have a lot of room. So the less line out, the easier it is probably to do. So to make it short and sweet here, you're going to drop the rod tip. Just to start out, take the lure in your hand, drop the rod tip, and then raise the rod tip just enough, quickly enough, just so that the lure doesn't hit the ground. Like, don't allow the lure to hit the ground like that. So if you can get the feel of that, just dropping the lure, we'll drop the rod tip, drop the lure, and then raise the rod tip again before the lure hits the ground. Just let it swing at a low, almost hitting the ground. That's the key motion with this pitching, is just get the hang of that. Just get that rod tip, raising the rod tip right before the lure hits the water, or in this case, the carpet. So if you can get the hang of that, that's the first part of pitching right there. So get accustomed to that. Do that for a while, and just get used to that. And then the next thing you want to bring into the equation here is a release point. And to actually let the bait go, you got to release your thumb here off the spool and allow the lure to travel. So basically, the release point for me, and probably for everyone, is right when you raise that rod tip back up. Right as you do that, almost at the same time as you do that, you're going to release the spool. And you don't release the spool and just let the line spin like crazy. You'll just get a backlash. You need to control the spool just like you're casting. Thumb the spool all the way to its target, all the way till the lure hits the water. Just thumb it lightly just to control it. You'll get the feel of that over time. Just one of those things that takes a lot of time to train your thumb to know how much pressure to apply and all that. And that's where practice comes into play there. So here we go, another pitch. Just do a left-handed pitch. And then you're going to drop the rod, drop the lure, and then snap that rod tip up and release the spool. To go over the tackle, I got a 7/6 rod right here, 20-pound line, high-speed reel. The high-speed reel is important just so you can, when you're done with the cast, your presentation, you can just bring it in and make another cast. Also, when you get a bite, a lot of times these fish are really hot. They fly out of the cover toward you, and it's nice to have a fast reel you can catch up to them before they get under the boat or get away from you and maybe spit the lure out. You can high-speed reel to catch up to those fish. So so basically, to go back to the release point thing here, once you get that established, your release point is right when you snap the rod tip up. You'll know when you're doing it right, because the lure will fly out on a low trajectory to the water. And if you release too soon, you'll hit the ground, obviously, and if you release too late, the lure will just go up in the air, and that's no good because you don't have any control of that thing. It just stops moving forward, and just, you don't have any control over that. You want to be able to be in control of that bait moving forward, and you can slow it down and stop it, or let it hit the water and whatever, and then stop it. So that right there is pitching, how to pitch a jig. And it's going to take time to get accustomed to it. I like having the reel all the way loose, no brakes on or anything. When you're first learning, you can turn the brakes on a little bit, but over time, the looser the better. And I have this thing set super loose. You hit the button, that lure sinks like a rock. And the other thing, just a suggestion, and when you're practicing this, use a heavy lure. This is a 1/2 ounce jig right here. Heavy lures are way easier to deal with when you're pitching, and casting for that matter. And what pitching essentially is, what you're doing is you're using the weight of the lure with the flex of the rod tip and some momentum to spring that bait out there. That's what does it. Load up. When you drop that bait, you're loading up the rod. When you snap that rod up, it loads up the rod a little bit. Can't really see it in real time, but the rod tip flexes a little bit and helps the lure. It launches the bait out there, and that's what pitching is. So practice a lot, get accustomed to it, just get the feel of it. The trickiest thing is the release point and your thumbs. They just need to, become familiar with. It'll be second nature before you know it if you practice a lot, and then you don't have to think about it. And I think it's easier to when you're just learning how to do this, just spend some time in the house or the yard, whatever, because if you're doing this on the water, it's tougher. You're worried about the boat control, the wind's blowing, you might be getting hung up. It's just easier to kind of get this down when you're just hanging out at the house or whatever. So that's my other suggestion. But that is how you pitch a jig. All right, let me know if you got any questions, and thanks for watching.